Welcome back to Holden's Golden Age of Wargaming, and we are returning to Wargame Design Studios, The Renaissance. And start off a long time ago with doing the variant of Seminara, the Battle of Seminara, and then I went on to Serenola. And way back in the beginning, I had the ambitious goal of playing every scenario, but as my collection of Wargame Design Studio games grows, I realize that's probably not the wisest thing to do. So we're going to not play absolutely every scenario. What we're going to do instead is we're just going to change it to I'll play the ones that really I find interesting. And that therefore we'll get that scenario count down a little bit, because as you can see just from looking here, just in this one title alone, there are many, many, many scenarios. So, and I was just going to play through chronologically, but back when I first started playing these games, of course, Renaissance was the earliest title chronologically. That is no longer the case. Now there's the Crusades and the Age of Longbow, which is in the 100 Years' War, which is before this. So probably what I'll do is I'll probably, after playing the next battle in the Renaissance, I'll probably go back to the Age of Longbows, I imagine, and check out that title as well. Maybe start alternating between them for now, for the next foreseeable future. But they're great games, and once you know one system, or one game, one title, you know most of what you need to know going forward for the other titles. So they say. As of yet, I have only experienced Renaissance. And we're going to play it safe today, and we're going to continue with the Renaissance. And I think the next scenario that I'm going to play is the Battle of Ravenna. And first of all, I'll quickly load up the historical scenario. We're not going to play the historical scenario because in the historical scenario, as in the real history, the Spanish and the Italians decided that it would be a great idea to basically fortify themselves along this creek here, build these fortifications. So the French, they just basically they were basically besieging the town of Ravenna way up here, and they just came on down to where the Spanish and the Italians had fortified themselves. And as you can see, actually let's go back out here. I'm just trying to remember the interface here. It's been quite a long time since I've played. So that they just came down with their army and set up their artillery and just started pummeling them until basically the cavalry said enough of this, and they came out and they all got killed. And it was just a big massacre, and I don't find that very interesting to play. I mean, I don't know why they did that. Why did they do that? But we're gonna play the second scenario based on the Battle of Ravenna, and what's happening here is we'll read the briefing. But what basically happens is instead of doing this, they go and they basically are going to do an open field battle, and that's what we're going to do. So what's this about? It's on the 11th of April, 1512. The Spanish Imperialists and Papal League, yeah, I guess, yeah, well, they're the Italians. Armies have marched to the relief of Ravenna and would have to risk a decisive engagement to break the French Ferrara siege of Ravenna. However, rather than face the enemy in open battle, okay, so this is the historical. The Imperialists dug trenches and adopted a strong defensive position, a typical Spanish tactic, which I guess we'd seen at Serenola, the battle that we did before this, that had proved successful at that battle and elsewhere. But in this battle, the Imperialist Papal forces were outnumbered and outgunned by the French and their Ferrara allies, and had their backs to the river. After a 2-hour artillery duel, the Spanish cavalry, after coming under heavy fire, were goaded into launching a desperate counterattack. Once this had been repulsed, the French cavalry were able to attack the Spanish infantry in the rear and secure a costly victory. But what, if you see down here this note, this is an open battle variant with the Spanish and Papal forces prepared to fight it out in the open rather than remain cooped up in their historical defensive position. We are going to play the Spanish, the Imperialists, and the Papal. And we'll let the AI play the French. So this not only are we going to deviate from history, but we're also going to, once again with this scenario, we're going to check out that whole AI. Let's see how the AI is coming along, because I know that Wargame Design Studios has been working on it. So we don't need to say this yet. So side A is the Spanish. Or no, sorry, it's the French. So we're gonna make that the AI, and they'll have Fog of War, and we will play the Spanish and the Papal forces. So the very first turn, we'll zoom in here. Well, maybe we'll zoom out, get it so we can kind of see their forces, because I believe the French get to go first. So let's see what they do. All right, doing a bunch of marching. And this is new, this M. I think this is some kind of a march that they'll go faster on roads. But of course, you do not want to get caught by the enemy in that march. So we'll see. I don't foresee us using the march option a lot, because this is us. So instead of us being down here, we're up here and we're ready to give battle. Now, I do notice that the French, they just turned around. They're coming down towards us. So, and we already have a nice line here. We hit the tab button. We can see our numbers of troops here. And we can see this /4. So we already have some of our guns, which look like they're demi-culverins. And if we go to our weapon effects chart, they've now, I don't have to have my own spreadsheet really anymore. Demi-culverin, we see that the max range is 1400 and the effective range is 400. Now, how many hexes is, how much, I should know that. I think I want to say it's 40 meters. Let's see if we can find that out very quickly. I'm pretty sure it's 40 meters. No, it's 100 meters. Okay, good to know. So if it's 100 meters across, that means a demi-culverin effective range 400, so 4 hexes, and 14 hexes at the max. So good to know. That's a demi-culverin. All right, so what else do we have? Culverins. They're a step up, so they have a bit better. They're 600 is 6 hexes is effective range, 16 hexes max range. What else do we have? We have more demi-culverins, more culverins, and demis. Okay, so it looks like the 5s. Nope, those are demis as well. Okay, so demi-culverins and culverins here. So we're already set up. However, I noticed that we're pointed this way. So if we look at this and we hit V on our keyboard, we'll see that that's our visible hexes. And it looks like the French are going to come down this road. And if we look here, we can see that if we go to view and we go to map elevations, we see that this is actually a hill here. It's at the second level. So it's raised up a bit. You can tell a little bit there from the shadow. So I don't think we want our guns facing that way, because we want to turn them, I believe. So let's just turn this gun right, well, actually, let's go here. Let's go to this culverin. So he's got pretty good range. And let's turn him to the left. Why doesn't that change his visibility? Or is it exactly the same? But he wouldn't have been able to fire past, he wouldn't be able to fire up, straight up, the hexes up. So, I think we're going to have the French coming down this road on that hill. So we want them to be facing this way. So I'm just going to quickly change our guns. I'm going to take that visibility off. It's just annoying. I'm going to change all our guns so they're facing, and it's pretty hard to tell, I guess, because they're underneath. But over here you can see, if you see that little arrow, it's pointing so that that's the way they're pointing, and I'm just turning to the left one. So now You can tell if they're pointing to this way. So we're basically just turning the guns so that we'll be able to fire up on this elevated terrain here. I don't know if we need to change these guys yet. And what's the range? Holding down the shift key, clicking on a hex, tells you the range. Of course, I've clicked off our guns. Now they can fire straight up, so I think I don't need to turn them yet. What is this here? 60-some men. It looks like just some light cavalry. Let's give them a warning shot, shall we? So let's see what happens. Well, we are almost at our max range, so we'll see if they get closer next turn. So if I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna have this line. So what else do we have here? We have a whole bunch of leaders here, whole bunch. We have who's our overall commander? Overall commander is Ramon di Cordona. Did I say that pretty good? I think I did. And we also have this dude here. I'm not going to say that name. Caravaggio? Boy, yeah. We're going to call him Cara. Yeah, that's a good manly name, Cara. So Ramon is B rating, leadership B. And if we click on him, remember the good old Q for organization. So there, everybody's lit up. Of course, he's the overall commander. Then we'll hit C for command. I'll have to zoom out a little bit and we can see his overall. So we need to keep all the divisional commanders within this radius. And then, and of course it works its way down. Let's click out. Now we have just Cara, our divisional commander. So we can see that all these units here are his. And he, of course, has a much smaller command radius. So we need to keep all these troops with him, pretty much. If we get outside of that, we get detached, and that wouldn't be good if they're melee units. If they're just solely range units, it's not so bad. And they also can't take objectives. And how do we win this game? As far as I can tell, we win by killing the enemy. These are all our objectives up here. We own all these. So the other thing though is that this is a creek, I believe. Creek. And if we look at the terrain effects chart and we go down and we find creek. Yeah, we can't move across there. Nobody can move across there. So effectively this is they can't flank us on that side. So what I'm thinking is I already had these guys here kind of in a line. So let's just fill in these hexes here. We'll fill in the line all the way up to the creek. I'd like to get these guns right now that are in behind. They can't fire at anything, so we're going to have to fix that. But it's very easy to get distracted in this game. I was originally looking at our commanders. So we have the army commander, we have the divisional commander. He owns those. So let's just separate him from the army commander for a second. This army commander, so let's move him up. All right. And he's in charge of all these guys right here. And even these guys down here. So that means they're probably, they are not detached yet. I guess that's because he must have been, yeah, he was one down. So we gotta be careful about that. We also have this divisional commander over here, and he commands all these troops. So that's a nice little... So he's already in a line, but I would like to get these artillery pieces, these are, of course, the smallest. Nope. This is the smallest, the Falcons. They're but they're very mobile. And so are these sackers. Yeah, these are sackers. I'd like to get them up here, so we're going to do that. Then we have this divisional commander. And it looks like he's in charge of all the cavalry units. So we'll have to get them reorganized. So what I kind of want to do is I want to form the line up to the creek over to here. And then I want to get the cavalry over here, moving up a bit. And we'll see if we can flank them. We'll see if they'll let us do that. Now I notice they have a bunch of cavalry up there as well. Nice thing about this one, even with the fog of war, it's pretty much a clear day and we can see forever. So we can see pretty much what's going on. What else do we have here? Is there any more? So this guy, he commands that whole thing. So that's not bad. We have one divisional commander here, and then the cavalry commander. Then of course we have the actual Papal States here. And, he's not so good. He's a rating of D. What's his? He's got a huge command radius as well. And we just have basically a brigade commander underneath him with some heavy knights. Okay, so this is our heavy cavalry. It doesn't look like... Do we have any heavy cavalry? We have heavy cavalry here, but I don't see any other heavy cavalry. Let's just go on the tab button here. Yeah, these are all infantry. They're all... We can form blocks with these. These guys down there also mixed with some swordsmen. Interesting. Interesting. We have arquebus that are... It says here arquebus / sword. I don't remember seeing that before. That seems to be new. It used to be arquebus, which is arquebus, or at least in the scenarios that I played, which is admittedly only 2. Okay. Yeah, arquebus, arquebus. These guys are just arquebus only. So these guys here have a little bit more. No, they're only arquebus. What am I, crazy? Didn't I see those? Okay, so these guys are definitely different. They have swords, so that means they can melee. Whereas the ones back here, 275. They're just arquebus. We don't want to melee with them. And then we have our supply wagons. Alright, so what are we going to do here? It's always the hardest at the beginning. Especially when you haven't played in a couple of years. But I've been waiting for this patch that just came out. What are we at? We're at 406.4. Yeah, I've been waiting for this patch to come out before I start playing again. Alright, so let's take a look. So this is our divisional commander. What's he got here? Well, he's got a brigade commander. That brigade commander is in charge of these guys. Alright, we'll leave them there. We have some pikemen here. And we also have a swordsman. Alright, well, what about this guy here? This brigade commander. He's in command of these units here that are highlighted. What do we got here? We got pike. We got 200 pike, 400 pike, and 200 swords. Let's move them. But we gotta leave room. We gotta be able to put our guns here. So I'm thinking we want to put them. Let's move them here. Now we see they're shifted. We'll move them here, and then we'll move up. And there, we're up to just the bottom of this embankment, and then we'll turn. So we're facing this direction, and that's pretty good. Then we have our 6 guns of Sakur. And what do we have here? We have, let's look at parameter data. Let's look at the stacking parameters. 16 guns is the maximum. 16 guns. Well, we only have 6 guns here, so I think that's safe that we can put them both in the same hex. So let's move them up to this hex right here. Keep wanting to hit the tab button and make an arrow like I do in Tabletop Simulator, but we can't do that. Not in this game. Alright, move up, up, and up. And do we turn? I think we do right now because you're so far over to the left. So we're going to turn them. And now we're going to do the exact same thing with these 3 guns. And we'll turn them. Alright, I would like to have some troops with them. But we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. We do have these arquebus here. Why are they here? Our divisional commander, we really can only move him over 1, and then we're having to worry about over here. Interesting. Arquebus and swords. Well, let's not get too complicated just yet. But these guns here, they're just falcons. They're very maneuverable. One of these guys, arquebus and sword. All right, let's move them up. And let's move the falcons up. Let's move these arquebus up here. So now our line's getting longer and longer. And what do we got here? This is going to be our reserve, I guess. Pike and swords. So they're just in charge. You guys will go right in behind. You're in charge of these 2. You can stay there. I think that looks pretty good. What is this back here now? We have a heavy cavalry. I don't think we want the cavalry over here. I think we're going to want the cavalry over there. Who is in command of you? This divisional commander is in command of you. Yeah. Well then, I guess, for now, we'll form up beside you. We'll go right there for now. We're still in command. I'll hold off on my army commander. He just basically needs to stay in charge of everybody. And we need to keep everybody in his field. Now the problem with that, of course, but I mean, I don't think we can. What's this guy? He's got a rating of C. D. Does that mean that's actually what his rating is? D. But we might have to. He might have to go outside of the army commander's command radius. I'm having a feeling. So now that we got that, what do we have here? We have 400 men. 400 arquebus armed with swords. So they're going to form up here. We'll put them right here on the line. Now we need somebody right here. It's not going to be our brigade commander. What do we have here? Some more arquebus with swords. Perhaps they are the guys. So let's move up like this. We'll give them a little bit of room. Now, will we have enough to get there? Probably not, but we're going to move down and move up with this plains here. Oh, we do. We do have enough. All right, look at that line. So they can't flank us on the other over that creek. So that's it. They cannot flank us on this side. Now, what do we have here? We have. Well, I'm not even going to try to say these names. Good job to Wargame Design Studios, because before these were all like black squares. There was no images in them. So they're about, I noticed I already went around and looked. They all have their images, some of them historically correct, I assume, for these guys. All right, so this guy here, we're going to move up as well. We want to keep giving a little bit of room. These are basically our reserve. We're going to let the French come to us, I think. We'll see if that actually happens. Yeah, we'll move right up, I guess. Alright. These guys can come up. Now, the supply wagons. Now, there are artillery down here, and I believe, if I remember correctly, the artillery have a range of 6Xs. So we're going to take this guy and move him off of the road directly out behind these artillery. So it's probably going to take a while, but that's okay. That's okay. What do we got here? Arquebus. Arquebus. Well, we'll keep moving up here. We need to stay close to our divisional commander. We need everybody inside his command circle for that. Alright. Maybe I pay too much attention to that command circle radius, but then we'll move on. I'd like to get in the habit of paying close attention to that. Alright, we'll come back to the Papal forces when we're done with the Spanish here. So we have just basically, we have our line. We've shifted our artillery over here on the right so it's facing towards the left where the French are going to come down, I believe. That's my guess. But we still have this guy right here. And I'd like to form up all this cavalry inside his command circle. His command radius, I guess I should say. So let's move, and we want to move out this way. Let's turn that off. We want to move over here, I would say. So let's get them. Move right there, I believe. We still got lots of movement left. But let's try to form these guys up around them. So that looks good. Now you are way off. We need you to come over here, I guess. Look there, turn back. That looks good. Let's move you right here. And then we'll move these guys in behind. I gotta avoid this marsh. I believe this is marsh. Because if we quickly look here, we see that marsh costs 11 movement points for cavalry. So yeah, the cavalry are definitely not going to be running through the marshes. And these guys are actually, whoa, these guys are all javelin spears, so they do have some melee. These guys are just, okay, so the ones that are regular, they're just armed with javelins. So we don't even really care much about keeping them. They can become detached in a way because they aren't going to be doing melees These guys are all javelin spears. These guys are dragoons, armed with arquebuses. So we want to move them in behind. What's this guy? Another dragoon. Okay. We'll keep him with that. Now, I'd like to get this. I think that's good. Come up. Unfortunately, I gotta worry about the sparse. I can't just move them all as one. So we'll move you up like this. Move you up like this. We're gonna have to go around like this. Move up this way. You guys, I guess you can go around like this. As far as they can go. And they can go there. Yes, they can go right there. Alright, everybody's within there. So we're moving over. And that looks pretty good to me. With the limited knowledge that I have. So now we're going to go to the Papal forces here. So we have, what do we have? We have arquebus, crossbows, halberd armed. This is a pretty small force, isn't it? Oh, we do have 400 heavy cavalry here. Lance, so that's good. Fortunately, this is not going to be, we want them to go over even these ones here, really, but unfortunately, they are with our divisional commander. We don't want to leave. I'm wondering, they're not going to be able to do much here. Alright, so the Papal forces, because of this creek, it looks like we got things pretty reinforced here. We got a lot of reserves there, I would say. We're going to move over to here. We're going to move over to the right. So, I guess there's no time like the present. Here we go. Here we go. And this is our overall commander. That's as far as he can go. Line movement. What do we have here? We have some supplies. Okay. And that's as far as we're going to be able to move. Okay. Zooming out. That is our total. We'll check that off. So there we go. We have our line. And that is going to be our first turn. Oh, I guess I'll always end it. We saw what the French did the first time, but we'll always end it with seeing what the AI does. And then I'll give it a couple days to, if there's any comments you guys want to make. Tell me, hey man, why are you doing that, or whatever. By all means, let me know. I'm still learning, totally learning this system, and not only that, now I'm rusty because it's been a couple years. So by all means, tell me if I'm missing something. So we'll end the turn. We'll let the French go, and then I will end this video. So here we go. We will save this as Ravenna. And save. And then, of course, it's melee. We don't care. And now it's their turn. Here they come. They're still in march. Maybe we should be in march. But I thought it only helps you on roads or trails, as far as I could tell. But the French are definitely coming towards us. So that's good. I think we're smart and just basically trying to form up our line now. No need to go to them if they're going to come to us. And that's it. And they still have a lot of stuff up here that's still facing towards the city, which is fine by me. So, yeah. Next turn we'll probably take some shots. And we'll continue to form up. Maybe we should do a little bit. This is kind of haphazard, isn't it? This reserve we have here. And these guys will keep moving over here, and then I'll start moving the cavalry up and over to try to flank. See if his cavalry that he's got up here reacts to that. But until then, That's it for today. So take care, everybody, and have a great day.